Hello and welcome to Rejuvi 45. If you are checking in today to watch the recording, watching the full recording, or watching one of the reels associated with it, you are doing it because you know that Rejuvi 45 is the place for modern leadership. And when we talk about modern leadership, we mean the belief that you can be compassionate human leaders at the same time as you are fierce business leaders. And so we get together 3 times a month to have conversations all about Rejuvi 45, stuff you'd find on the B side. So we're glad you're here. My name is Regina Hepp, and today I am joined by
I'm Rob Marhula. Thanks for having me again, Reg.
Um, of course, I feel that you and I have been doing this for quite some time, and we kind of have our story down. We know how to get on these shows, answer some good questions, and get things done. It's good.
Yeah, definitely. And they're
Yeah. So
always good. I
yeah.
always learn something new every time too.
Yeah, and there should always be a sense of nervousness and anticipation when you're doing these because you want to do a good job, right? For those
Mhm.
people who want to learn more about modern leadership. But it's actually like when I see you with me, it's like, okay, good, we're going to have this really robust conversation, no nervousness necessary.
Right.
Yep. Well, we are here today. We're actually kind of on the countdown to volume 3 of Rejuvi 45. Our volumes run from the 1st of October through the end of September. And so we're kind of nearing that countdown for the end of volume 3. And all of our sessions are associated with each other. And so these last sessions of volume 3 have something to do with helping companies position both leadership excellence and business excellence. It's that whole idea of, well, you can be a compassionate human leader and a fierce business leader at the same time. So today's session is about that. And today's session is called Blip, the Throttle, and Downshift. And this session was actually named by our board chair, Harold Weems. Now we have many recordings of, because we're in volume 3, so we have 2 previous sessions of Blip the Throttle and Downshift. And even though there have been 2 sessions of this, I don't necessarily know that I can still accurately describe blipping the throttle and downshifting.
I don't know
Can
that I
you?
can either.
Yeah.
No, yeah, in my own brain I have to simplify it a little bit and but I do this is one of those sessions where we need vid with the scientific answer about it.
Yeah. Well, there are some phrases that Vid has used, Harold, so Videothon Ready has used, Harold Weems, our chairman, has used, and there are some phrases that you have used as well. So, things like how do you skid so you don't skid, right?
Yeah.
How do you downshift when your car is going around the corner so that you don't lose momentum? How do you gain control without losing speed, right? Those are
Yeah.
some things that I think each of you has said that I have learned from. And those phrases, they make sense to me. I mean, skid so you don't skid, downshift while creating momentum, gaining control without losing speed. Those like mean something to me. And while I can't technically explain what's happening inside of, like a sports car, with this, with your stick shift, I feel like I can feel it. Like I can see what's happening because I've been in those instances before. Do you know what I mean, Rob?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I kind of feel the same way.
Mhm.
It's and I think when we talk about outside of a car doing that, it's how do you keep moving without losing momentum and
Mhm.
then getting ready to kind of shift back into a higher gear to just to go further faster.
Oh my gosh, that's really good. Yeah. Yeah. So you have a few questions that kind of are associated with that whole
Yep,
idea of how do you downshift while creating momentum so that you can go further faster. Is that right?
I do. I do. Let's talk about some of this in the leadership development space. So my first question is kind of maybe it's a stage setter question, but so from your perspective in the current leadership development environment and how we grow our leaders, um, what do we know about where we're falling short on the result in that today?
It's kind of like another way to ask that question is, what do we know about leadership development, the current state of leadership development, because we haven't learned to blip the throttle and downshift. Well, I think that we know two things about the current environment and the results that I believe are falling short of what business's intent actually is. And those two things are, number one, we know that more and more people inside an organization are being asked to lead something. So leadership is becoming democratized. And so we have people being asked to lead the sales inside of a new territory. People are being asked to lead a project, in this line of the business. People are being asked to lead this new service center. More and more people are being asked to lead something than ever before because leadership is being democratized. However, 90% of these people feel as though they don't have the leadership skill, nor does their business have the leadership culture to do what their organization is asking them to do, right? They're excited about what they're being asked to do, but that skill and that culture is not where it should be, 90%. So that's kind of the first thing that we know. And then the second thing that we know about the current state of leadership development falling short of plan is that even more, 93% of those leaders say that if I have even received some support for leadership development, most of them don't say that, by the way, but 93% of them are saying what I have had access to, like maybe I've had access to, a LinkedIn learning course, or, maybe I was selected to go to a high potential leadership course inside of my organization. 93% of these people are saying that it is not connected at all to the outcomes or the KPIs to which they're held accountable. So that is my very crisp answer to why leadership development has fallen short of plan. And in essence, and in relation related to today's theme, it's why the business has, I would say the business has not learned to blip the throttle and downshift at all.
Okay, no, I like that. With that being said, then, so what does the modern oh, I can't even say it, modernization of leadership development look like? Where do
There's
we
something
go?
new. There's something new for you. Someone with a chief financial background is struggling with the word modernization. It's just like, of course, because then it's going to come in. How much is what's our investment look like? But
Yep.
yeah, I think that's a good question. So, I mean, who wants to be part of the problem? If you don't have an idea, you're part of the problem, right? So, what's the solution? What does the modernization of leadership development actually look like? What does blipping the throttle and downshifting actually look like for those people who care about, fixing the problem? And I think that there's it looks like three things. And each one of these three things is getting at the fundamental root cause problems inside of the leadership development space that have caused this abysmal situation that we're in. And I think it can be summarized by these three words: what, who, and how. So the modernization has to fix the what problem inside of leadership development. So it's like this better starting place. You have to emerge when you blip the throttle. You have to modernize by having a different starting place for what leadership actually looks like. And that modern model is the coming together of both compassionate human leadership and fierce business leadership. So that's one. Modernization means a better starting place, a better model for what it really takes today. And so this is about compassionate human leadership and fierce business leadership at the same time. So modernization isn't just about that, fixing the what problem. I think modernization is also number two about the who problem. And what this means is that because we're asked with leadership, the work of leadership has been democratized. That means you have to democratize the development of it. You have to get it to all the who, all the people who now are being paid to lead. So modernization means you have taken this better starting place, right? Compassionate human leadership and fierce business leadership, and you are customizing it for team leaders. And you are taking that model and you are customizing it for service leaders and expert leaders, like those people who are leading work inside of the advanced analytics, emerging technology space, right? We know that area is really hot right now. It is taking this fundamental model and making sure it works for all people who are building our books of business and territories, sales leadership. And of course, for it's customizing it for senior leaders, which isn't necessarily new because so many times we've thought about leadership for our senior leaders, but fixing the who part of or modernizing the who part means that it has now been customized for all of these people that haven't been included inside of leadership development in the past, but now are being asked to do leadership things like our team leaders, service leaders, expert leaders, and sales leaders. And then the last thing about modernization is that it's fixing the how problem. So one of the things that I have to own is that because I have been inside of the leadership and org development space for decades, I have to be honest and recognize that leaders who have attended leadership development of the past have said, listen, the best thing from that was that I got to network with other people inside of my organization. That should not be the only value that your leaders are getting. So you've got to fix the how problem inside of leadership development. And in essence, that is about how do you get them, how do you give them quick to action insight so that they can create this momentum when they're actually coming around the corner. So I think it's a very on point and fair question, Rob. So it's not, you can't just say there's this gigantic problem inside of the leadership development space, the 90% and 93%, without also answering the question called, how do we modernize? And we modernize through fixing the what, who, and how problems that have existed inside of the development space. Make sense?
Yeah, and I like how you describe that too. I think just a couple things that I'm hearing is one, so the democratize. I'm not all these big words I'm having to use today are really killing me. So it's not just about senior leaders anymore, right? It's
That's right.
so that's number one. Number two is I think you use the word customized. So different leaders in different realms of the organization need different leadership capabilities, right? And then, again, it's, you know, what I've always said anytime we've talked about my experiences in leadership development in my career has been, okay, how do I find the one thing out of this that I can apply,
That's right.
go back and apply? Well, let's talk about what we're trying to do as an organization or do as my responsibility as a leader, and then let's build a plan according to that, as opposed to, well, here's your training, go get trained on this, and then come back and see if
Right,
it may not be relevant at all.
right.
You always learn, yes, so that's good. You're learning, you're growing, but at the end of the day, when you come back to your day job, you're still going to be asked to, you know, help the business grow, help the business move forward, help your area you're leading be a part of that. And how do you do that?
Mhm. You know, I want to respond to kind of your reflection on that, because when you modernize through fixing the what, who, and how problems, especially that how, we have to remember that um, data plays a gigantic role in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have all of these leaders throughout your organization at various levels, kind of from entry to exit. It's not like they're going someplace, learning something, and then coming back, right? But the data that you can provide them in the modernization of leadership development is an accurate representation of what their current leadership capability looks like, where they're strong and where they're weak, right? That data informs not only the current reality of their capability, meaning how good am I on this compassionate human leadership scale, right? And how good am I on this fierce business leadership continuum? Tell me where I'm at with this, right? What's my gap to ceiling? That travels with the leader to their job, right? And that data can be refreshed so frequently and inexpensively and speedily, so that they always have this understanding of, like, I get it, I get it, I get it. Leadership is both of these things. My compassionate human leadership, my fierce business leadership, and I understand the sequence of activity to become stronger at both. And I have the data with me all of the time that helps me to understand what my current state is, right? It's not a a once a year kind of thing. So thank you for that reflection, because it's getting me going now about the beauty of the modernization of the entire space.
And I think you're already starting to answer my last question.
Okay. So what
So
is
my
it?
last question for you
Yeah.
is a Rejuvi specific question. So can the Rejuvi platform help a business gain control without losing speed?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot, And so my answer is absolutely, right? And I think that we can help you to blip the throttle and downshift because of three reasons, right? And number one, Rejuvi has that better starting place, right? And so there's just so much white noise and confusion that's going on right now. So many organizations that we talk to are saying, what do we do? What do we do? How do we help our organizations figure out, how to create this momentum without losing speed? And it has to start with this better starting place, right? Rejuvi has a better starting place, and you can get access to that starting place through the Rejuvi platform. That better starting place is what we call modern leadership modeling, right? It is a model for how to think about helping all of these different leaders start to build their compassionate human leadership and their fierce business leadership. So the Rejuvi platform has this better starting place, right? And you can just log in and there are your answers right there, so that you can start to communicate this inside of your organization. Number two, when you have this better starting place, you're going to need like a core portfolio of services to start to action it, right? So organizations are going to start to go, okay, practically speaking, we love that modern model. Thank you for that better starting place. But where are our core services that allow us to, number one, create a baseline understanding, a data empirically informed understanding of where we're at, right? Does it have, once we understand where we're at, does this platform have the ability to help us to start to train our people, to guide them, right? With resources that we can help them one-on-one, we can help them as a team, right? We can help them, across the organization. And so the Rejuvi platform has a portfolio of these core services that aren't only about creating this baseline, that aren't only about the guiding through training and resources, but they're also this course, which we call it a core service, but it's so new to the space, which is the ability to take another measurement, right? Not just a baseline measurement, but reestablish what your capability is at after you're doing some development. Because what we can do then is create deltas for you, right? Here's where I was, here's where I'm at today. And I'm probably doing that backwards on, this Zoom call. Here's where my baseline was, here's kind of where I'm at today. And so a new core service is recording the delta, is how far you've traveled, what your rate of change actually is. That's now a core service inside of the Rejuvi platform. And why is that important? That's because the third Rejuvi doesn't just offer you this core portfolio of services. It finishes with, an uplifting ending place. And that uplifting ending place helps you to take that rate of change, and it helps you to understand the correlations and the causations to the outcomes that are important to your organization. So you want to know how your rate of change in modern leadership has impacted turnover? The platform answers that question. You want to know how your rate of change in modern leadership has impacted your operational outcomes, like error ratios, the adoption rate of a transformation. Rejuvi can answer those questions. You want to know how your modern leadership capability actually impacts your value-based metrics, like net new clients or increase in market share. Rejuvi can do that. So I think it's a great question, and of course, one that I am really passionate about as the president of Rejuvi, is that can the Rejuvi platform help a business to gain control without losing momentum? And yes, we can. And we can do that through a better starting place. We can do that through a core portfolio of services, including creating delta understanding inexpensively and quickly. And number three, we have an uplifting ending place, a better ending place that allows people to correlate and causate rate of change to the KPIs that are important to them. Yes, we can. We can do that.
Well, and that's just all the things you were just talking about are so valuable to a leader and a business. I was just, as you were talking, thinking about, in the finance world or finance functions in a company, a lot of things we look at is, okay, we're doing our next forecast. How do we, what do our projections look like for the next quarter,
Yeah.
or getting into that continual forecasting mindset of, okay, we're building our history now as we look forward. That's ever changing as well. Well, now if you layer in the concept of, being able to look at, your leaders, and as you're starting to think of what your major objectives are for the year, and being able to go back and look at the leader, you know, where you stand as a leader today, and what those things are that can help you and what you can work on and build as whether an individual leader or a group of leaders with your teams to actually push even further or faster as well.
Well, that's the dream right there. So I know, obviously, I'm in a lot of sales conversations, helping organizations to understand the power of moving forward with modern leadership, and the value of working with a platform that provides this better starting place, this portfolio of services, this more uplifting ending place. And I often summarize it by saying, you know, you are changing the leadership conversation inside of your organization. And your example is exactly that, right? You can now have a finance division or a sales division or an engineering division, or the entire organization start to take a look at its business plan, take a look at its business cycle for the next X number of months and start to talk about what are we asking of ourselves in terms of outcomes. And because of a modern leadership platform, you're going to understand what it's going to take in terms of increased leadership capability, right? That's how a modern leadership platform changes the conversation, which to me is just so amazing, because what advanced analytics and emerging technologies have done with better modeling for what leadership work actually is, it allows us to gain momentum without losing speed, even in the toughest of moments, right? Which is the ultimate blipping the throttle and downshifting of any organization.
Even the very basic part to start with is setting that baseline. And no,
That's
and
right.
even that is a game changer in some regard because you know where you are.
That's right.
And as you move forward, you're getting, as many, as frequently and as many, reset data points as you want and need to be able to see,
Mhm.
how fast you are going, how far and how fast you are going and are able to go.
That's exactly right. Well, what's really interesting is this session, Blip the Throttle and Downshift. This is volume 3. Every time I get to this session, I look at this title and I hesitate a little bit, because blipping the throttle and downshifting doesn't come easy to me by way of technical definition, but I can feel it, right? I can feel it and know I've been a part of those moments where maybe I've been in a car and I've seen someone, do that. So I know what it feels like. And I also know what it feels like in order to be able to support an organization, grow its leaders in a way that doesn't, it serves the reality, right? They don't have time to lose momentum, right?
Right.
They've got to keep them, they've got to figure out how to keep momentum, grow the momentum, right? And the only way to do that is through a better starting place, a core, very valuable portfolio of services, and this more uplifting ending place. So it's amazing. This has been a fantastic conversation, as expected. Next week, we're going to be back with another session. It's going to be called Just Jump. Again, it's another 45 title, because we want to remind the community that um, there's a better way. That we don't have to be stuck with these mindsets about who is paid to lead, how we grow our leaders. It is different now, and so we've got these great B-side titles. Next week's is called Just Jump, and we'll be joined by this amazing leader from a large manufacturing organization, and she's going to talk about her experience, not only in her just jumping into leadership, into modern leadership, but also how she helps people that work for her just jump into find their modern leadership capability. So that will be August 8th. Thank you, Rob, for having this fantastic conversation and for bringing, I think, such on-point questions related to blipping the throttle and downshifting. Very, very valuable.
Thank you. It was a
Um,
pleasure and a joy as always.
Yep, agreed. And everyone, thank you for checking in today, for watching the full recording and watching the snippets that we post in all those social media sites like LinkedIn and YouTube. Thank you. Keep the spirit up. We can build this modern leadership capability through all our organizations. We'll see you next week.